Hello students! Welcome to another episode of More Technology and Livelihood Education. Today's lesson, we are going to discuss about preparing bread products. So sit back, relax, and watch the video. Have you ever tried working with bread dough? If you have, how long did you take to perfect it? So in this lesson, we will try to discuss its basic concepts. Mixing and kneading a bread dough takes a lot of effort, but in the end, it is very rewarding. Once you master the tricks of bread making, you can create your own masterpiece. There are two types of bread products in which we call yeast breads and quick breads. So let's get started. Yeast breads. Yeast bread is leavened with yeast. The yeast causes the formation of carbon dioxide gas through the fermentation of the sugars in the bread dough. The purpose of yeast in baking is that it makes the dough rise, and it must be placed in warm water. Lean dough consists of flour, yeast, salt, and a little sugar. This is mainly used for pandesal, loaf bread, buns, French bread, and many others. Methods of mixing dough. In mixing the dough for yeast breads, we have three methods: the straight dough method, sponge dough method, and the no-knead dough method. In the straight dough method, the ingredients are mixed in a bowl and kneaded in order to create a mixture that forms a dough. The sponge dough method consists of the mixture of yeast that usually contains 1 to 2 cups of flour and liquid ingredients, and set aside to rise. Later on, other ingredients are added and kneaded for the dough to rise again. In no-knead method, it uses a very long fermentation or rising time instead of kneading. It is characterized by a low yeast content and a wet dough.
Kneading dough makes bread and rolls airy, chewy, and light, and it's a vital step when baking yeast recipes. Kneading strengthens the gluten strands that form the bread structure. Without well-developed gluten, your bread or rolls will be flat and tough. While your stand mixer will do the job, we'll show you 4 easy steps to knead dough by hand, the same way it's been done for centuries. Step 1. Prep your work surface. Sprinkle your work surface with flour. Step 2. Scrape out the dough. Using a plastic bowl scraper, wooden spoon, or just your hands, scrape the risen dough onto the well-floured work surface. The dough will probably be very sticky. Step 3. Knead. Don't be shy about handling the dough. Just grasp the side of the dough furthest away from you and fold it in half towards you. Place the heels of both hands on top of the dough and use your body weight to push the dough into itself. Use a scraper to pull the dough off the board if it sticks. Then sprinkle a little more flour onto the dough and the work surface if needed. Step 4. Turn the dough. Give the dough a quarter turn, grasp the side of the dough furthest away from you, and fold it in half towards you. Place the heels of both hands on top of the dough, and again, use your body weight to push the dough into itself. You might have to add a bit of flour until the dough is easier to work with, but don't overdo it or you'll throw off the balance of flour, yeast, salt, and water. Repeat this kneading action, turning, kneading, until the dough is smooth, silky, and elastic, about 10 minutes. If you're adding other ingredients such as raisins, nuts, or seeds to the dough, start working them in after the dough becomes elastic. You don't have to worry about overworking the dough when you're kneading by hand. When you're finished kneading the dough, shape it into a loose ball and place it in a greased bowl. Turn the dough over a few times inside the bowl to coat the surface lightly with the oil or butter you used for grease. Turn the dough smooth side up to rest. Cover the bowl with a damp towel and let the dough rise or continue as directed in the recipe you're following. For centuries, bread has been made by hand, kneaded in the same way you've just done. That's kind of cool, isn't it?
For the principles in making good quality yeast bread, characteristics of good quality yeast bread, and causes of poor quality yeast bread, please refer to your book on pages 15 to 17. Quick breads. Quick bread is any bread that can be made quickly because they are leavened with chemical leavening, such as baking soda and baking powder instead of yeast. Example of a quick bread is a muffin. Muffins are tender, moist, and simple cup breads leavened with baking powder. They are easy to prepare and usually consist of the basic ingredients of flour, sugar, egg, and milk. So now, what is the difference between yeast breads and quick breads? Yeast bread uses yeast that takes time to rise. Unlike quick breads that uses agents like baking powder and baking soda, these agents allow quick breads to leaven more rapidly. And unlike yeast breads, quick breads do not require kneading, but instead it rises when baked. Remember, in baking bread, you must consider the following. Use the right leavening agents. Measure carefully. Take your time, because the best results comes when you give your dough the time it needs to rise. And always remember to seek the help of your parents. So that's it for today. This is your handsome Sir Artie saying goodbye and stay safe.